Welcome to the Vet S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S Lifeline. Today, we're talking with a veteran who's found a special way to give back to the community to help others. It's going to be a good one, so buckle up. Make sure you're taking notes. You definitely want to listen in what they're doing here. And I continue to walk down the yellow brick road together to see the wizard. How you doing today, Keith? What you planning on asking for?
Walking down I'm going to ask for courage, a brain, and maybe a VA appointment that starts on time. But I'll take, in the end, I'll just take a good cup of coffee conversation today. So how you doing, Sean?
Pretty good, but I don't think
It's
the
been a little
wizard's going to
while.
help you with that on-time VA appointment.
No, or the brain, but yeah. I might have the courage, but it's probably more borderline on stupidity than anything. So
Yeah, I'm sure that that's a splash of all of us, huh?
right. Looking forward to the day, though.
Outstanding. All right, so let's jump right into this here. We got Gabriel Axtell. He's a husband of 17 years, a father of 3, a retired Marine with a background in special operations. Much of his life has been shaped by service, faith, family, and the lessons learned through both challenge and growth. Today, he's passionate about helping others navigate purpose, resilience, and identity beyond the uniform. Through the warrior's journey, Gabriel shares an honest and humble perspective on leadership, sacrifice, brotherhood, and what it means to continue growing long after the mission ends. How you doing today, Gabriel? We're so happy you joined us.
Oh, thank you, Sean. I'm doing just wonderful. I'm down here in sunny Florida. It's a beautiful day, but it's hard not to wake up in beautiful weather here in Florida. So I feel like I wake up every morning saying that.
I know the feeling. Keith, what do you think about that?
I mean, I'm in sunny, well, I used to say sunny Virginia Beach. I live like in Suffolk, which is a few towns over now, but it's still sunny. It's still nice. Still, gorgeous area out here. So on my new 10 acres of land that is totally secluded and an introvert's dream. I love it. Can't even see my neighbors.
A survivalist in the making. I can see it already. Here we go.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So we are having a great weather down here in Florida today. Very excited for the after recording time. Get to go spend some time outside and have some fun. So, all right. Well, let's jump right into this, man. Tell us about your transition. How did that go?
Yeah, so transition was really interesting for me. I actually found out I was going to be medically retired. I think the start of March of 2020. Of all times to find out that you were going to go through transition, 2020 was probably the most interesting time, because I was at Camp Pendleton, California, and it turned into a ghost town. Like the whole base shut down, and I remember, you're planning, all these separation classes and everything else that takes place that they've integrated now into transition. Although I think, we can always improve on what we do, and we got to take lessons from that. But that all shut down. So I remember my last day, I walked into IPAC outbound, and all the lights were off except for like one over the main check-in day or desk. And I'm like, hello? Anyone here? And all of a sudden here comes this Lance Corporal out of this back room. Pretty sure he was wearing like a hoodie. And he's like, hey, what can I do for you? And I'm like, I'm checking out today, I guess. And stamped my DD-214, and that was it. Game over. See you later. And we didn't know what we were really going to do. Like I said, COVID was a very difficult time. Being in Southern California, probably could have done a better job at figuring out what career field I was going to pick up afterwards. But we had no idea. So we just moved back to where we were from originally. So we moved back to Springfield, Missouri, and, thinking that from a from a hometown perspective, and the transition might be a little bit easier. Her parents, my wife's parents, and my parents both still live there. And so we're like, oh yeah, this will be the best way for us to do it. And quickly realized that, life happens, and then you quickly understand that the feeling of being in the military, it really doesn't exist anywhere else except for, on the team or with your platoon, with your fire team. It's non-existent out there, regardless of what career path you take and what what the culture team, like a lot of places have culture teams now. Um, Regardless of the amount of team building that they do, it's never the same. And so trying to navigate that, plus, like I said, it was medically retired, so I was still dealing with surgeries and injuries, and it was just it w- it was a time where I was just trying to survive, honestly. So it was difficult for me. I didn't think it was going to be difficult, but I quickly found out that I had no idea what I was doing. Probably a little bit too prideful to ask for help, or very, very much too prideful to ask for help, and quickly found myself in kind of a crisis situation, trying to understand what I was supposed to be doing afterwards.
It sounds to me like you checked pretty much every transition box there is there as far as the things we go through. It's the pride thing is huge, right? We're trained as service members, to get the mission done. And we're always used to leaning on our battle buddies from on the left and the right, and all of a sudden that disappears. So, um, no, it's your story's powerful, man. I mean, it's something that we hear time and time again. I know Keith and I have gone through versions of that as well, and I I love the fact that you continue to bring up things like, the camaraderie and stuff like that, and your team, and that was one piece that I really just didn't think was gonna impact me personally as much, because I was kind of I was excess for, like, the last 2 years of my career in my position, so I had time to transition, but I didn't have soldiers. I wasn't, yeah, I was interacting with people, but I wasn't, leading anybody, and it didn't have that team like you're used to. So, but yeah, it hit me hard afterwards. So it's one of those things that definitely sneaks up on you. I'm glad to hear that you found some ways to get through it though.
Absolutely, yeah. No, now where I'm at. It's amazing. Obviously, a lot of us joined for the service to give back to our country. Um, some of us are just crazy and we wanted to see what war was like. Um, but after getting out, I think the service piece is the biggest aspect. It's like, how can I continue to serve those around me? And that's where I found probably my most purpose was in being a servant to those in need. And that's what I try to do now whenever I can.
Giving back and serving gets in your DNA, doesn't it, Keith?
Absolutely, yeah. And so I think that's a perfect segue to talk about the warrior's journey. Like, tell us about how that came to be and what it's all about.
Yeah. So the warrior's journey, kind of to tack on to where I ended the story of the transition piece, found myself in crisis. And literally, I had one friend from high school who he would connect with me once a year, ask me what I was doing while I was in the military. No military experience. His family was in the military, anything like that. Um, but he just loved saying, "Hey, what are you up to?" So this was the one individual that was still around in my hometown that I knew when I got back. And like I said, I found myself in crisis, and he actually saved my life. Um, and I woke up the next day to a text message. And in that text message, he had written, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "I don't know what you're going through, and I don't know what you've been through." He goes, "I love you. Do me a favor and call this guy." And that was the only, like, that was it. That was the context of what I had. So, I'm looking at this guy's phone number, and I knew the events that had taken place the night before, and that I was still there in the morning. And I realized, I was married with 3 kids, and I'm a liability to my family. I used to think I was a liability to my family in a different way, and then I realized, oh, I'm a liability to my family, the way I'm going about life right now. So I need to either, like, something's got to change, something's got to give, and so I picked up the phone and I made that phone call. It was a Saturday morning. It was 8 a.m. Um, and it wasn't even the crisis hotline for the Warriors Journey. It was actually the cell phone number of the CEO. And so he picked up my call at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we spoke on the phone for about an hour and a half on Saturday. And, we get to the point where we're kind of wrapping it up, and he goes, "Hey, we're gonna be in touch Monday. Are you gonna be here?" And I was like, "Yes, I'll be here." And I realized, like, okay, like, I committed to change now. I am going to be here Monday, and I'm going to take each day one day at a time. And so that's how I got started with the Warriors Journey. They're headquartered in my hometown. I still, VSO organizations, they number upwards of 42,000 VSO organizations throughout the United States. And so it's like, how do you navigate and how do you find all of these places? What you guys are doing here is incredible, especially talking about what each VSO organization does to help the service member. But that's how I found the Warriors Journey. And I started walking through their mentorship program, which was about a year long. And then I ended up volunteering, and now I work for them full time because I love it, and obviously it has a very close place in my heart and in my family's hearts, and so that's how we continue to serve.
That's that's fantastic. I love hearing those stories where you start as a client essentially, then you do some volunteering. Next thing you know, you're working for them, and you just know the passion's there because you believe in the product, you believe in the organization, you've gone through what they're doing, and so that passion is just there and it carries forward. And yeah, it, it's amazing how many organizations there are. And it's also amazing where you find these organizations, so Springfield, Missouri, I never would have thought to look there for a specific organization, but nothing against Springfield. Just, you never know. You know of some of these big ones and some of these locations that are heavy military towns, but is Springfield, Missouri a heavy veteran town?
We're not. I wouldn't say we have a reserve unit
Yeah.
pretty close by. That's there. We have Fort Leonard Wood, which is about an hour up the
Okay.
road from
Good.
us.
Yeah.
Um, you got Kansas City, I think that has what, Leavenworth? Is that so? We got some
Okay.
areas that have,
In
a
the
heavy
vicinity.
concentration of military. A lot of veterans, there. I think a lot of veterans in Arkansas. So Midwest in general, I think has a pretty high
Yeah.
population. And so,
Okay.
um, not that we only serve veterans, but I think
Right.
that's where they were from. So they started it. And now we have locations. We have what we call, resiliency centers all over the world, actually. So, we're continuing to grow and expand and partner. So one of the things that we do is we partner with, over 80 other VSO organizations. So we realize that there's amazing organizations throughout the United States that do their specific, niche very well. And rather than try to reinvent the wheel, like if we're all united under this one goal, which is to help, end veteran suicide or to better the lives of veterans, then we should be working together. And I'm sure you guys have seen it within the nonprofit space. It turns into these are my supporters. You can't have them kind of deal. And so we're just like, hey, egos aside, supporters aside, like we need to partner up and we need to
Can you
do this.
say all that again for the people in the back who didn't hear you? I mean,
Well,
it's something this community needs to do.
it was unfortunate. You get into the nonprofit space, and there's some amazing people over there, and they're extremely zealous about what they do. And those are the individuals that we need. But at the same time, they are so I think they're so zealous about their cause that they forget that we're all trying to reach a common goal.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, some of those individuals that want to donate money don't necessarily want to donate money to that specific cause, right? If if you're, you know, if you're a pet fan, then there's a good chance that you're going to donate money to some sort of nonprofit for animals, right? Um, if you're faith based, there's a good chance that you want to donate to a veteran cause that's faith based, and that you see that. So there's a lot of different organizations out there, and people don't understand that. Like through the partnership, it's actually a huge benefit, right? Like that money, if it doesn't go to anybody, then it's a net loss. Like we lost an
Yeah.
opportunity, and so I always think about like, hey, when we go into this room, it's not a us versus them. It's us collectively versus the crisis that the veteran active duty service member is in right now. So we need to stop looking at it stop polarizing people, right? I got some, I know some CEOs of nonprofits that are very political and loud and on politics. And I'm like, hey, you guys know, blue money and red money, it works the same way, right, guys? Like, what's the end goal? Is the end goal to like voice how you feel about politics, or is the end goal to help the veterans on the other, our end user? So yeah, that's another piece of why I fell into the warrior's journey, was understanding, like, seeing them promote all these other organizations. And I'm like, man, you try to email some of the bigger organizations out there and you just hear crickets, and it's like, man, we're probably missing something. We're missing some people. And that's our job, is people. We want to get to people. So
I'm gonna cut up like this entire video and just use this and really start, because I'm amazed like how many organizations I reach out to and never hear back. It's like, we just want to share your story. We just want to tell the world about your organization. It's not costing you anything. And it's amazing how many people I don't hear back from. And but it's I love the higher level wisdom, as I think of it, in the fact that you need to keep the ultimate goal in mind anytime you do anything. When I was involved with Boy Scouts, I always had someone there that made sure that everything we did still was for the kids. Make sure that the kids were always the center focus, and the adults weren't running away with it, and, making sure that, and the same thing has to happen with the veteran spaces. We have to make sure that we're focused on what we're doing here and stop worrying about, the money or the politics or whatever else may be out there. And what are we trying to actually do? So I love that train of thought. Keith, what do you think, man? He's dropping all kinds of knowledge on different levels here.
Absolutely. We lost the bomb button for all the knowledge drops. I am going to pause real quick. Obviously, my secret's out because I don't know what happened to my computer, but it just decided we're going to shut off the backdrop, and I can't even get it back. So I was trying for the last 5 minutes to get it back. So yeah, I just moved. I'm in my garage. I haven't gotten set up in the new place yet. So anyway, neither here nor there. No, and Gabriel, you mentioned it, right? Pride, right? We also tend to be a very prideful group sometimes. And I think, just to touch one last time on the space that we operate in, I think some people tend to lose focus on why they got into this space, because some of that pride, I think, kicks in. I want to be the best. I want to be the sole resource for all the veterans out there. And they start to stiff arm others. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But kind of with that pride, you talk a lot about like discipline as a pillar of resilience. What does discipline health look like for you on like a regular Tuesday, when not just when everything's on fire, if you will?
So, man, that's an interesting question. So discipline has obviously changed a lot more, now that I'm not in the military. So day starts very similar. Pretty much every day starts exactly the same. I wake up, I start coffee, because you're right, coffee is like one of the greatest things to have first thing in the morning. I start coffee. I read my Bible every morning. That was something that came later in my career. I got saved in 2018. And I thought, one of those things is, I thought all my problems would go away. It's not how it worked. In fact, I got more problems probably. But I found faith, and I use that as a pillar in my life and in my family's life. So start off, read the Bible. My wife's with me. She reads her Bible, and we kind of talk about our day. And, we pray together, and that's how we start our day. Like that's it. We don't think about anything else. I don't think about, obviously there's some short-term goals, which are a couple weeks out, and there's long-term goals, but it's like, okay, how can I have an impact in today, or what's going to take place today? As far as if the world comes crashing down around me, I have built through, the warrior's journey. I still talk to several of the guys I was connected with, 4 years ago when I went through the warrior's journey program. So I've learned that if I reach out sooner and have a discussion, with wise counsel, people that have been through the things that I've been through or are going through the things that I've gone through, that I get to navigate through that a lot faster. Um, and then I also talk a lot with my wife. A lot of times I think as service members, we lose track of the fact that our number one supporter, which is our spouse, is like typically there in the house with you. And so they know when something's wrong, whether we want to agree with them or not. So my wife and I, we have a very open dialogue. Like I said, you know, there's different things that pop up throughout life. Um, just because I went through that year-long mentorship program doesn't mean that I don't have some things that trigger me every once in a while. And so as soon as either she notices it or I notice it, we have a discussion and we go, hey, and then it's like, hey, how can I help you today? How can we help navigate through this? So that's like what a day looks like in the life of Gabe. Even if the world comes tumbling down, my wife and I, we just celebrated 17 years of marriage yesterday.
Awesome.
So she has been with me through the thick and the thin. And so I can't think of any better individual um, to talk with whenever I'm just going through life struggles than one who's been through everything with me. So
Smart man. Oh man, I
it's that
love it.
gray. It's that gray hair. I'm starting to get gray hair. People are like, "Man, you got some wisdom." I know Keith has
Well,
got it.
Keith's got all kinds of
He's got
wisdom.
all the wisdom.
Oh, so we're on the tail end of the recording. Break down some of the different things that you guys offer through the Warriors Journey.
Yeah,
What are the
absolutely.
different like programs and how people get involved in actually participating in it?
Yeah. So obviously there's the piece where I show up to the Warriors Journey, which is crisis prevention, or sorry, crisis intervention. But what we really want to do is get there ahead of time. So we want to be a crisis prevention network. Um, so to date, we have fielded over 5,000 crisis intervention phone calls. Unfortunately, we've only ever lost one individual. So we have a pretty high success rate there. Um, and then we have over 30,000 individuals that are part of our case management network. And so despite the crisis piece, which is incredible, we really take a lot of pride in what we're doing ahead of time. So that is really navigating post-service, the post-service transition. So we work very close and we have skill bridge programs that we offer. We partner with Dave to build out the VA benefits package. That's always a big one when people are transitioning out, like, hey, how do I navigate this? Unless you're going through, a med board process, really you don't have anybody walking you through. A lot of what we have is family services. So we'll do, obviously counseling for the individual, like marriage counseling, family counseling, and we also offer our services to, the spouse, the children, and depending on the marital status of the service member, whether active duty or veteran, the parents as well. We just kind of believe that everyone serves whenever we're serving, right? I think my wife would agree after all that time in service that, hey, we're doing some stuff too. Um, so we offer all those to them. We also offer transitional coaching. So you see life coaches and everything like that. We do the same thing, but it's transitional coaches. So how do I transition? We have a coaching mentor, um, essentially 6 free sessions, and help you navigate that process post military. Besides that, what we do is we also call it our triage process. Just like anything, when you get injured, you start with the biggest, most life threatening down to the smallest, right? So we do the same kind of triage process whenever somebody gets on a phone call with us, and we go, okay, hey, here are the needs of the individual. All right, and we're going to rank them from 1 to 10. And then that's where we go back to that network that we have with all those other VSO organizations. We go, okay, who can cover this? Who covers this very well? And so we'll send them there. And so we act as the intermediary. We have that instant connection. We have the rapport built. So if somebody needs to get into maybe, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Mighty Oaks,
Mhm.
Chad Robichaud. They have a pretty amazing program. So if somebody needs like, hey, we need to get this guy involved and connected immediately, we have a little bit of push to get people where they need to be. And so that's how we navigate this whole process. And then, like I said, we have over 30,000 individuals in our case management. Some of those we're reaching out to on a daily basis, depending on how critical is this individual. And then some of them we're reaching out on a monthly basis. Um, you know, we always want to be there, and we never want anybody to feel like they're burdening us for calling. So we reach out to them and go, hey, how are things going? We build that rapport. You're talking to the same individual that you talked to essentially on day one, because that's how we like to do it. We do through peer to peer. So we call it peer to peer or warrior to warrior connection, which is, hey, if Gabe Axtell was to call in, they're going to ask me what my MOS was, what branch of service did I serve in, and then they're going to connect me with somebody who as closely aligns with what I did in my military service as me. So that's one of the things that we found a huge benefit in is when you have something in common, you've been on the same footprints. You've you know Army guys going through Benning Jump School. I went through Benning Jump School. I can imagine you can instantly connect over that. I can instantly connect with guys like, oh man, you remember jumping out of the planes the first time, all that stuff. So that's why we try to do that, because it's like, hey, I've walked those similar footsteps. I'm out now. I am hopefully successful at what I do. And let me help navigate you. I don't know exactly what you're going through, but this is what I went through. Let's see if we can work together to navigate this. So,
I like it, Keith. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great stuff. And yeah, I want to keep going, but when you're unfortunately at time, I will just say I was stationed at Benning, and I didn't actually go through jump school, but I was near the towers. And so on windy days, we would go out in the smoke pit and watch the wind blow you all back into the towers after you dropped, and then watch the black hats have to climb up the towers and get you all back down and then unstuck. But anyway, no, amazing stuff that you're doing, Gabriel. And before we completely wrap this up, I do have two more questions that I want to ask you. One, for that veteran out there that's listening right now that's kind of lost on purpose, direction, identity, as you've been talking about, what's one concrete first step you want them to take in the next 24 hours, like starting right now? And then after you have to answer that, tell folks how they can reach out to you, how they can reach out to the organization to either get support and or help support.
yeah. So purpose, that's a great question. I woke up with a realization where, obviously, even when during my crisis time, I was a Christian, right? And so I realized, hey, step one, purpose one is to be the best man of God I can be, right? And that's for all of community, right? That's for the whole community. That's who I need to be, for everyone out there. Set an example, live the life, not just speak it with my mouth. Two, if you're married, right? Your job every single day is to be the best husband you can be, right? Golden rule: treat people the way that you are, doing to others as you would have them do unto you. I had this discussion with my daughter yesterday. Do we do to people the things that they do to us? And she's like, no, we don't. She's 11, so she's got a little sister and a little brother. But it's like, hey, I'm going to treat everybody the way I want to be treated, and not the way they treat me. So you have a responsibility to the people outside. You have a responsibility to the people inside. Three, if all of those fail, my job is to be the best father that I can be to three little kids. And then to be the best friend, right? So I have a purpose and I have an identity, right? I can make a change in somebody's life. Doesn't matter how crummy I feel that day. I can always go out and be the light to somebody in the world. There's a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of dark things, and I can be that for somebody regardless of how I'm feeling. And typically when I do that, I usually feel pretty good about it, especially if I do it out of a heart of actual compassion and care. Um, so that's what I think immediately, like, realize there's people out there that are dealing with a lot of issues. Um, and you may actually save or change a life, just in your general day-to-day conversations at Walmart, gas station, you name it. You can change somebody's life. And then two, the second question was, how do you get a hold of us? So twj.org. When you go to that page, that's our homepage. There is um, there is a get help button. It doesn't mean, hey, I'm going through crisis. Hey, maybe I just heard some of the things that you guys offer. Like, I would like to have, I would love some assistance in those things. So you can type out an email, you can send a text message, you can make a phone call. We are extremely quick to respond just because of what we do and this the time sensitivity of the nature of work that we're in. So you should hear from somebody remotely or relatively quickly. And then we can start that process. So, um, that's about it, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing for the community. And that's, I love the short, I'm a simple guy, dumb army guy, knuckle dragger, twj.org. You can't get any simpler than that. So go out there, check it out. If you need help, you want to help, let them know, get in touch with them. And on behalf of the entire S.O.S family, we want to thank everyone for spending their time with us today. It's always great having you along for the ride. Don't forget to check out all of our other episodes and keep coming back for more stories, insight, and support from the Vet S.O.S crew. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a follow, share the show, and tell a friend or two. Toss your battle buddies, fire team, shipmates, and wingmen that flotation device that they need in transition so no one drowns in the sea of transition. And as always, remember to grab the Vet S.O.S Lifeline.